The election, but the rest were blinded.
To use, because first of all, let's go with King David. King David, number one, never slept with that woman. The purpose of that woman was not to sleep with her. And number two, a young virgin is a young woman. Y'all, it saddens me when we have this conversation about virgin. It saddens me. Here's why it saddens me. I have to actually get on their camera, to get on YouTube, and defend that the young virgin that they're speaking about in the Bible is not talking about a 13-year-old. That's sad. In 2020, with Israelites, I have to teach that virgin is not talking about a 13-year-old, not talking about a 15-year-old, but is more than likely talking about a 17, 18-year-old and up. I can give a precept. In Luke, the 3rd chapter, the 23, in Luke, I'm sorry, not the 3rd chapter, in Luke 2 and 36, it says, and there was one Anna, a prophetess, the daughter of Phanuel of the tribe of Asher. She was of great age and had lived with an husband 7 years from her virginity. So let's say if she got her virginity at age 12 or 13, 7 years from that is when she got her husband. So she would have been 19 or 20. With that said, say if she got her virginity at age 12 or 13, 7 years from that is when she got her husband. So she would have been 19 or 20. With that said, you sexual deviants.
Can a brother have anal sex with his wife? Can he have anal sex with his wife? And the answer, I'm going to break some of your hearts. The answer is yes. But I'm going to tell you like it is. The answer is yes.
You sexual deviants. You sexual deviants.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Arika Hakwadash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect, as peace to the elect. I want to touch on another edition, okay, with the captain TAZARYACH. You know, he's convinced in his own mind what he believes. And again, if you're going to wake up to the truth of being an Israelite and you understand the customs of our Israelite heritage, you have to put off the old man. You have to put off the ways of America, okay, Babylon. Okay, and this is why I'm titling it like this, because he, in his mind, Esau got it right. Okay, in this society, they say, well, by the time you're 18 years old, you're considered a woman. And in this society, this is what they label it. When have we known any time in this man's society for him to have anything right? Everything he does is wrong. From your dietary laws, from your bargaining, and from employment and whatever else, you know, working, let's say that, the land, the food, the water, the schools. He got everything twisted. And somehow, when it comes to what a young lady is, okay, even in his system, he says an 18-year-old is an adult. He doesn't even consider that a young lady. You heard the teachers in school when you was young, or at my age when I was a little younger, the teachers would say, young ladies, line up. This is in middle school. Now they're 12, 13 years old. They're telling these young ladies to behave themselves. Anyway, we'll get into what he said. Okay, you can almost go to any version of the Bible or any commentary, and they will break down Luke. This is not because we want it that way. It's just because what it is. Okay? So before we go there, I'll go back to Kings first. Okay? With David. Let's go back to David with the young damsel. I previously just did a video on that. Let's go to it now. 1 Kings 1 and 2. Wherefore the servant said unto him, let there be sought for my lord the king a young virgin, and let her stand before the king, and let her cherish him. Okay. Now, with Bathsheba and the other woman, there was no other woman that can do this. Wouldn't his wife be one? And that's what brothers and everybody brought out. Wouldn't she be one to lay with him, to cherish him and make him feel good? Of all people, they say bring a young virgin. Not a virgin. This is why it says a young virgin. Okay? And let her stand before the king, and let her cherish him, and let her lie in thy bosom. Again, as I said in the previous video, would David be considered a pedophile to Captain TAZARYACH? You know? Would Captain TAZARYACH and the ISUPK members, because this is who this is ISUPK, would have considered David a pedophile, okay? That my Lord King may get heat. So wait a minute. You can't say this because he was just cold and unless that damsel was really big and he needed somebody to warm him up. But he could have got any woman to do that if that's the case. Why did he get his wife in there to lay with him and give him heat? Of all people. Anyway, this Captain TAZARYACH is not making any sense, okay? Let's go to it. Let's see what young virgin means. It goes back to a young damsel, okay? It says a girl, damsel, female servant, girl, damsel, little girl, young woman. And this is how they would put it, as little girl, young girl. This would not have been a 5-year-old girl laying with David, okay? This would have been a woman 12 and a half, okay? A young woman, marriageable young woman. That's why I got 1A, AI, B, okay? So the definitions fit, okay? Because a damsel can be a girl. I mean, it could be because when you're dealing with females, young girls, even though they're not marriageable for sex, they will still be considered virgins, okay? A damsel that is a young woman would be marriageable by age, okay? By menstruation. When she's marriageable, it's menstruation, okay? It only makes sense, okay? I just wanted to make this short video to prove a point. It says, verse 3, so they sought for a fair damsel throughout all the coast of Israel, and found Abishag, a Shunammite, and brought her to the king. Okay? And that's why I looked up damsel. And the damsel was very fair, okay, and cherished the king, and ministered to him, but the king knew her not. Okay? Meaning he couldn't lay with her, okay? Basically have sex with her. Remember, because earlier it said she lied in thy bosom, which means she more likely laid down with him, tried to get him, aroused, and it didn't work, okay? So he's right about that. No, he didn't have sex with her, but the intentions was to, okay? Let's go to this is a source I picked up from somewhere. It didn't take long. Now, you could go to any study tool, any commentary, and these writers, you go and they'll put it, you just put it together. Okay, it says, let's go to Luke. This is what he went into. Okay, so we're going to break down Luke, which Apostle Bob broke it down in his lesson, but I'm going to go back to it. Luke 2:36, and there was one Anna, because he's saying that the age of a virgin would have been, their customs would have been, once they was a virgin, it would be 7 to 8 more years before they would actually marry, okay? And let's say that did happen in certain cases. The custom of the Jews or the Israelites was 12 and a half, and I'll show you that. They were 12 years old, okay? 12 and a half. Just as we, as boys, when they hit a man as at 12, okay? It says, and there was, and the captain, and let me say this, the captain, I'm sure at 12, 13 years old, he was looking at older women, young women too. Anyway, and there was one Anna, a prophetess, the daughter of Phanuel of the tribe of Asher. She was of great age and had lived with an husband 7 years from her virginity. That's why you look at the word lived, past tense. She lived with her husband. See, if you don't look at this right, you'll get twisted. It wasn't like she lived with her husband, okay, or all of a sudden 7 years after her virginity, then she lived with her husband. It doesn't say that. It says, and had past tense, lived with an husband 7 years from her virginity, okay? And let's go on to, you got to read the full context of it, okay? 7 years from her virginity. Let's go to verse 37, okay? Let's go to verse 37. Let's see what that says. And it says, and she was a widow of about 84 years, which departed from the temple, but served God Yahweh in fastings and prayers night and day. Okay? So let's go back to Luke 2 and 36. You know, see, if your mind, this is what I've always said, if you believe, you look at something hard enough, you're going to believe it. Whether you feel it's right or wrong, if you believe that it's right, you're going to make it right. And this is the optical illusion that Captain TAZARYACH has. In his mind, he wants to find a way to give, so that can be the okay for what he believes. Okay? This is the captain. This is what he wants, you know? So if he says, like Esau says, once you're 18, then you're an adult, then he's going to believe that. He just can't get past it. Okay, so let's look at the other versions of this, okay? And then I'll get to the commentaries, okay? This is the contemporary English version. It said, I'm going to get to the point. In her youth, okay, she had been married for 7 years, but her husband died, okay? That's all it's saying. She had been married for 7 years, okay? She was old and she died, okay? It says, had lived with her husband 7 years, okay, after her marriage. This is the Holman Christian Standard Bible, okay? She was very old, having lived with her husband for 7 years after her marriage, okay? The key is they wanted to mention her husband because it was a great thing for a woman like this to be married. So that was that key was there mentioned because it didn't have to mention that part. Okay? But that's part of the glory, you know. She was of old age and had lived with her husband 7 years after her virginity. Okay? Her husband had died 7 years after they were married. Okay? It's saying it plain right here. I mean, how many translations do we got to go to? You know? This is pretty much what it's saying. It says right here, having had her maidenhood 7 years of her married life. Okay, anyway, let's get up to this commentary here. It says, she was of great age. The phrase is the same with that in Luke 1 and 7. They're rendered stricken in years. It says, her age will appear to be great if it be observed that she was 7 years a married woman. That's all it's saying. She was 7 years a married woman. That's why I said had. And 84 years a widow. Uh-oh. So it's telling you that after she was married 7 years, her husband died, and she was 84 years a widow, which make 91. And if she was married 12 years and a half, here it go, and if she was married at 12 years and a half, at which the time the Jews reckon females marriageable, she must be 103 years old, and perhaps her age might be 8 or 10 years more. Okay? That's it. Let's read that part again. Let me get to the point. Her age will appear to be great. It is observed that she was 7 years a married woman. That's what that means in Luke 2:36. Okay, 7 years from the age of her virginity. She was married 7 years. Okay, that's all that's saying. She was a married woman. And 64 years a widow. That's what this commentary is saying, which would make her 91. Okay, I'm not going to go back into that. Well, let's go on. It says she was married, when she was married at 12 years and a half, like 12 and a half years. Okay, which the time the Jews reckoned females marriageable. Okay, you can go on all the resources and pull that up. Let's read this little section here. It's a little bit more. It says, and had lived with her husband 7 years from her virginity. This is mentioned to observe her chastity. I guess more showing that she was in her purity. She hadn't been with anybody else. That she was in her virginity, or chaste, a chaste virgin, when she became a wife, such and one as the high priest was obliged to have. Okay? You can be sure when they brought King David, that young damsel, see, it was all about purity, You didn't want a woman, you have some women that may have had a husband and he may have died, and you could remarry according to custom. Let's go to chaste. It wouldn't be right if I didn't look up chaste. Okay? That's why you got to look up the words. Innocent of unlawful sexual intercourse. That's what it says. See, but the problem is when you're stuck in your feelings, you're stuck in your emotions, and you just can't get, and that's part of the problem. That's a big issue with a lot of Israelites, that they want to keep pure what they feel is pure in this society. You have to cut off everything that you thought was right. Everything you thought was right was actually a lie. And the one you call God, Yahweh, he even said that. He said, since Deuteronomy 28, if you will not follow my laws and statutes and commandments, all these curses shall come upon you and overtake you. You mean to tell me a woman that's past her menstrual, who gets in heat, because women get in heat. See, these guys think that they're Captain Savos, and they believe that the woman is supposed to be innocent, and be by her being in her innocence, that she doesn't get hot until a man gets on her to get hot. Got news for you. Women go in heat too. What age does a woman go in heat? Young men do. Young women do too. That's the question. What age does women go in heat? So you mean to tell me they got to wait till 18? They got to go to 7 years, 8 years in heat? Doesn't make any sense. That's not order. That's not lawful. Okay? That's pure ignorance and lack of understanding. Okay? That's all I have on that. Shalom.